Optics, first-person point of view. I am anonymous, 90 kilograms, enjoying a pepperoni sub sandwich at a table outside the recently opened Griffin Deli. I idly wonder what goes into the pepperoni. Pigs and such are sapient here after all. Admittedly, I'm not entirely sure what goes into normal pepperoni either, but for the sake of my appetite, I decide not to look at the gift bird cat in the mouth. Or, catbird? Gift griffin? Oh, that was alliteration. Caramel, 1 cup sugar, 1 cup of butter, boil in a saucepan until it reaches the hardball stage, prances towards my table. You will never guess who got 2 tickets to the Wonderbolt show! I smile at my friend. Hey, nice. Are you gonna be taking Pierce Pinion then? Caramel shakes his head. Well, that wouldn't be the right optics, Anon. We have to show the matriarchy that a stallion doesn't need a mare to support him to make a statement. Ah, optics. Right. Oh, that poor mare. So that means... Caramel grins at me. Boys' night out. You and me. I already booked a hotel in Philadelphia, and I got the train tickets ready. I scratch my cheek. If turning him down would give Pinion, 2 whipped and 10 packed a chance, I'd do it, but Caramel would probably just cancel instead. And it's not like I don't want to go. The Wonderbolts do put on a good show. Alright, so when are we planning on leaving? Caramel claps his hooves in delight. Ah, yes! I knew that you would have my back! The train leaves this Saturday at 21 AM, and we'll only be staying 1 night, so I doubt that you'll need much more than a suitcase. I give him a thumbs up. Sounds like a plan. The next morning, I find him by the station, a long cardboard tube strapped across his back, all while pulling a small wagon with a heavily bedazzled harness. I wave at him and he perks up immediately, trotting over. Anon! Looking good this morning! I love what you did with the scarf, by the way. I smile. Thanks. I like your, harness. Caramel preens. I made it myself! Well, not made it, but I exercised my stallion's prerogative and made my own by glitzing it up. Maybe when we get back, we can bedazzle your suitcase too. I subconsciously tug my suitcase closer to myself. No, I like it as it is. It's understatedly elegant, or something. Caramel nods seriously. Way to go, Anon. Bucking societal expectations of accessories for stallions. I like it. I sigh. He's a good guy, and he helped me find a place to stay when I first got here, but Caramel bases far too much of his identity on fighting the matriarchy. It's a relief when the train pulls into the station and the 2 of us have to step quick to find a pair of seats for ourselves. I check the charge on my phone as I sit down. The thing's a green monocrystal, but slim enough to fit in my pocket. The horn icon is about 3/4 filled in, so it should last at least until tomorrow. I slide it back into my pocket and look up to see Caramel chewing his lip. He sighs. I really should get some mare saddlebags, but fiddling with them to fit is such a hassle. I shrug. You know, you could just pay Rarity to adjust them for you, or commission her to make some bigger saddlebags on the stallion-style harness. Caramel nods ruefully. Maybe next month, when I have some bits to spare. I frown. How expensive were these tickets? He waves a hoof dismissively. Oh, no, it's not that. I recently got a taffy pulling machine for the shop. The cost of the machine itself, then installation, and also a warranty, well, it adds up. I raise my eyebrows. I can imagine. Still, it sounds like a good investment, though. He grins. Oh, definitely it is. My back is feeling much better now that I'm not rearing up and stretching candy for hours on end. The train ride passed quickly enough, with such idle chatter. Once again, he resisted my pitch about buying miniatures and painting them. I thought I might have had a chance since the DAO got an update, and that made them halfway viable, but it's not like Caramel cares much about miniature gaming in the first place. Philadelphia is nice enough as far as cities go, but I am glad to drop off my luggage at the hotel. I only take a water bottle with me to the stadium, but Caramel hauls pretty much half of what he brought in the wagon, and that tube's still on his back. I frown. You're not gonna have me handing out pamphlets, are you? He glances at me. Well, if some pony approaches while I'm busy, I certainly would appreciate if you gave them something to read. I know you really don't know the arguments or statistics, so don't worry about debating any pony. I sigh. How about I just pay you back for the ticket instead? Caramel laughs and bumps my leg with his flank. Oh, come on. A little activism won't kill you. It's not like I'm having you back me up on a court case or something. The 2 of us join the line leading into one of the stadium entrances. I shake my head. Oh boy, the things I do for a friend. Caramel smirks.
I'll tell you what, when we get arrested, you have my permission to blame it all on me.
I shoot him a worried glance. Are you planning on getting arrested? He shakes his head.
Oh, no, that's step 14 in my grand strategy for a stallionist overthrow of the government. By then, you'll be subtly influencing your herd of highly placed mayors to corrupt the legal system.
I blink. I catch the little smirk on his face. Fine, but I get Australia when the time comes. Caramel grins.
Deal.
The ticket mayor eyes Caramel's wagon, then his caboose as she waves the two of us inside. Caramel snorts but carries on. I find my seats easily enough and ease into the enchanted fog cushion. It's deliciously cool and soft, and I really ought to save up for a cloud bed if this is how it would feel. Caramel pops the top off the tube and removes and unfurls the blue and gold sign. More stallions and wonderbolts. I frown. Isn't there one or two? That Soren guy. My friend nods.
Well, sure, but that's one stallion out of 12 wonderbolts, while in 1 in 4 ponies is a stallion. And they can do better, maybe if they lower the standards for stallion applicants, or...
I hold up my hands. I get it. Nice choice on the colors. Very eye-catching, by the way. Caramel rolls his eyes.
It's the wonderbolts colors, of course it's eye-catching. Thanks, though.
He slides the sign pole into a fitting on his wagon and grabs a hooful of pamphlets.
Save my seat while I distribute these, alright?
I give him a mock salute and settle back into my seat as he trots into the crowd. I take the opportunity to admire the clear sky and wide open design of the stadium. My eyes are drawn to the 4 ponds in the middle, unnaturally still in the gentle summer breeze. Curious. About half an hour later, Caramel comes back, his head held high, like he always does when a mayor dismisses his arguments without addressing them. He drops into his seat and crosses his forehooves and grumbles below his breath. I casually take a sip from my water bottle. So what are those ponds down there? Are they water landings for the bolts or something? Caramel shakes out his mane with a huff and answers.
They're scrying pools, for close-ups of the flyers.
I nod my head. Cool. Never seen that before. I'm guessing it would be impractical to grow a display monocrystal that big, or use a bunch of crystals to make a big screen. Caramel shrugs.
It could be. I never studied information thaumaturgy. Did anyone come by asking about stallionism?
I shake my head. I think the sign looks too much like something a fan would use to cheer them on, so ponies don't actually read it. My friend slumps in his seat.
This day has just been one disaster after another.
I really don't want to ask about it, so I just pat his withers comfortingly. It's a relief when the show begins with a salvo of fireworks, the wonderbolts streaking through the sparks, the roar of their magic parting the air resonating in my chest. I look down at the scrying pools and see them salute the scrying focus. Then the pools zoom in on Soren. One more apple pie and it'll go straight to his hips, as he winks at the focus and pivots into a steel climb, the tight uniform doing nothing to hide the bulge of his sheath. The mares in the audience whistle and stomp their hooves in applause. Caramel scoffs.
I bet he doesn't make nearly as much as the mares on the team, even though they're exploiting him like this.
A slightly chubby mare nearby clears her throat.
Well, actually, he gets paid more bits than the mares as compensation to his herd, and not to mention the cut of the sales that he gets from the merchandise of him.
Caramel frowns.
But it's disgusting that a stallion has to have a herd to be paid a fair wage. My worth is not measured by how many mares I cook for.
I sigh and try to ignore the argument. The wonderbolts form a V and start spiraling around the center mare. It's pretty neat.
The wage gap is a myth. Stallions just choose.
I think to myself, do a barrel roll, and smile.
Do you know how much makeup costs? Depending on the restaurant, a stallion would be losing money even if the mayor pays for everything.
Finally, I turn and glare at the two of them. Be quiet! Argue on your own time! I want to watch the show! The mayor and Caramel stare at me with wide eyes, then look away. Caramel slumps in his seat.
I'm sorry.
I sigh and pat him on the withers. I then turn back to the scrying pools and watch the ponies fly. The bolts cruise along in a vertical column and slowly grow closer together. One by one, the Pegasi reach their hooves on the back of the pony beneath them. When all 12 are stacked on top of each other, the crowd goes wild. I clap, impressed, especially when they start weaving around cloud pillars without breaking formation. Then Caramel nudges me.
Do you want some cherries?
I look down at the Tupperware on his hoof and grab a few. Oh, don't mind if I do, thanks. I enjoy myself for the rest of the show, clapping and cheering with the crowd. The show ends with the bolts buzzing the audience, a bare few meters above the crowd. After the cheers die down, the crowd starts to disperse. I stand and stretch. Whew, that was pretty cool, I have to say. Thanks again for bringing me out here, Caramel. He gets to his hooves and smiles.
I'm glad you liked it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go powder my nose.
I nod to him. Don't die in there. I lost too many friends to the septic oubliette. Caramel chuckles.
No promises. Avenge me if I don't return.
I nod gravely. On my honor as a murder ape. My friend rolls his eyes and trots off for parts unknown. As the stadium empties, I chill by the wagon and nibble on some of the cherries. Then a shadow falls across me.
A stallionist, huh?
Celestia, no. I look up and see Spitfire, 32 watermelon seeds per second of all mares. She's smirking at me, her flight suit partially unzipped to release her tuft. She swaggers up to me.
You see, I have a theory about stallionists.
I raise an eyebrow. Oh? What's that? She flaps her wings once, her musk filling the air. She smells like dryer sheets and oranges in a peculiar, almost spicy fragrance that I can't place.
Deep down, every cult's screaming about mare privilege, wage gaps, and so on.
Spitfire rears up and puts her hooves on my shoulders, her face a few inches from my own.
And all they really want is a nice strong mare to rein them in. What do you think?
I lick my lips, keeping a straight face with some effort. I want to bury my face in that tuft, maybe give her some smooches. And do you think that's you? Spitfire leans forward, taking a deep whiff of my scent.
Let me show you something, Colt.
She gets back to her hooves and scoops a cherry out of the Tupperware with a pinion. She sets it on the ground and sits on it. I raise an eyebrow, but the mare just smirks. After a moment, she stands up and gestures towards where she was sitting. Nothing remains of the cherry but a carefully knotted stem. I am impressed, and a little more turned on, despite myself. Clever, but I don't see—
There's more, Colt. See that bottle on the hoof rest about 1,000 for hoofs behind me?
I grimace. I'm still getting used to horse units and counting in base 4, but I do see the bottle about 10 meters away. Yeah, what about it? Spitfire flexes her hips sharply, and something blurs out from under her tail and nails the bottle. I can't help it. Hot damn! That is a nice shot! She gives me a smug grin.
So to answer your question, yes, I am mare enough to rein you in and give you the ride of your life.
I find myself sweating, even in the cool evening breeze. I have a friend I'm waiting for, and Spitfire climbs up on the seat and rears up, her tuft right in my face. The intoxicating mare scent is inescapable. She mutters under her breath.
Tall bastard, aren't you?
The wonderbolt clears her throat.
Send them a message on your slate. I'm sure they'll be fine.
I swallow. Right, yeah. I take out my slate and text Caramel. Got a hot date, gotta go. Bless the lad, he answers immediately.
You go, Colt. Let me know how it went.
Spitfire reads over my shoulder.
Wow, what a good friend. Now follow me. We have a penthouse suite to ruin.
I am Caramel, waking up alone in my hotel room. It's a little lonely, not having any pony around. It kinda makes me wish I had let Pinion come along too. She's a snuggler. I check my slate, and no new messages from Anon. Knowing him, he's probably run the mare ragged and topped her like a true stallionist. I could sense that big topper energy the moment I met the guy. It's just a shame that he never picks up any other stallionist practices, and I'm sure that he would be a natural and a good example to the colts in town. I pace back and forth and look at the clock. 21:01 a.m. He should be up by now, right? I let out a burst of whimsy propel me to my slate and I draw his sigil. The slate hums like a tuning fork for several long seconds.
Who is this?
I smile. He sounds groggy, but fine. Hey, big guy. Sounds like the oubliette got you, and not me.
Silence. Oh, hey, Cars. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely got sucked in, but I had a good time. You get to the hotel alright?
I sprawl out on a lounging chair and hold the slate to my ear. Yeah, no problems. I passed out about a third of my pamphlets and 5 copies of my self-help book, so I count it as a win.
That's great. I know it was a rough start, but... What was that, Spitz? Yeah, he was the one with the sign and everything.
Wait, Spitz? It can't be.
Nah, he says I'm a natural sex-positive stallion, so maybe it still counts.
My blood runs cold. Your hot date was Spitfire? Bane of Stallions, right? There was silence. Faint, merrily laughter.
Well, I can't get an answer out of her now, but she is Spitfire, captain of the bolts and all.
I rub my face tiredly. When I said that you would be hurting with powerful mares, I didn't think that you'd actually do it. Well, whatever. I just wanted to make sure that you're okay and ready to meet at the station at 23 a.m.
Anon chuckles. Thanks, buddy. I'll see you there.
I hang up and roll on my back. He swears he doesn't have any whimsy, but he's just as bad as any other cult I've known. I sigh and get to my hooves. Time to ransack the suites of the hotel's breakfast buffet because I have a feeling that I am really going to need the pick-me-up. I stare up. Why? Spitfire just shrugs from her perch on Anon's shoulder.
I like it here.
Anon nods.
Not only do I get to pretend to be a pirate, but I also get to bury my face in her tuft whenever I want.
I had worried that Spitfire would corrupt him like she had so many of my peers within the movement, but I hadn't considered the possibility that they would corrupt each other in new and embarrassing directions. Get her down! Ponies are staring! Anon glances around and rolls his eyes, and I growl. She'll hit her head when you walk into the train! Anon tilts his head, then sighs.
He's got a point. Let's get you down.
Spitfire spares me an irritated glance, then flits to the ground.
Ugh, your friend's a real downer.
Nice crunch, and Anon boops her to assert dominance.
Come on, none of that. He's a cool guy who just happens to be concerned about, optics.
Spitfire grimaces at the word, and Anon sighs.
You don't have to agree with him, just make an effort to get along, alright?
I'm actually surprised when she nods and says,
Sorry I called you a downer.
I shake my head. It's fine. It's not like either of us had a good impression of the other. Spitfire smiles ruefully at that. I look between the two of them. I just can't believe that the Bane of Stallion's rights apologized to me, and that the long nightstand is actually sticking with the mare. Anon and Spitfire share a glance. I purse my lips. Was the sex really that good? Instantly, they smile like a cat that drank all the cream, and answer in unison.
Oh yeah, it was.
Oh, sweet Celestia, there are two of them. I shake my head and turn to watch the train pull in. Maybe I really should have taken Pinion with me instead. Then I glance at Anon rubbing Spitfire's head affectionately. Well, it turned out alright anyways, and who knows? If Anon likes her, then maybe Spitfire isn't as bad as I thought.
I'm gonna be dead-ass honest, I thought that Anon and Spitfire were just snuggling throughout the night, but just that confirmation of them both having sex, that was some fucking preem shit right there. Anywho, let's get on to our preem donators. Top donators: Dash of Evergreen, Peter Coulthard, J Tin Man, Darkside, and Ponyman. CourierCruz CI, Strix, Zar630, Narwhals, Delta Omega, RuneScythe9852, Dospo, Rhiny Dragonwolf, Hunter Norman, Austin Roland, Secret Moon, Tall Russia, The Toilet Snake, Sword Brethren Mordred, Ron and Wandering, Endry63, Random Person Man Guy, Easy, Jack Cadge, Starlight Glimmer, Squiddy Boy, David E. Sanchez, Soul Dragon, Gaggy, Trey, Shadow Drake, Joe Pierce, Alex F, Rainbow Dash, Teal K. Anderson, TV Killer, John Becker, Leon Reynolds, Zach Rakau, Mr. ECU, Leslie Prickett, Edgar Garcia, One Kingdom 1, Nisarusan, Vazuri, Dyslexic Character Sheets, and Just a Random Boy. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and live life to the fullest.